Hello everyone. Welcome to our mathematics presentation. Today, we're going to explore some fascinating concepts in math. The title of our presentation is Mathematics Presentation, and we'll also have a subtitle that highlights the key focus. Over the next few minutes, I'll give you a brief overview of what we'll cover, including some interesting topics and insights. I'm excited to have you here, so let's get started. Let's take a quick look at what we'll be covering in this presentation. We start with an introduction to statistics, which lays the foundation for understanding how data helps us make informed decisions. Then, we'll see how statistics plays a role in our daily life, showing its relevance beyond the classroom. Moving on, we'll explore the different types of data, which is crucial for choosing the right methods of analysis. Next, we'll learn about measures of central tendency, key tools for summarizing data effectively. Before diving into these concepts, we'll go back in time with the history of statistics to understand how this field has evolved. We'll also discuss the introduction to data, emphasizing its importance as the starting point for analysis. Then, we'll look at graphical representation of data, which makes complex information easier to understand at a glance. Finally, we'll wrap up with some activities and a conclusion to reinforce what we've learned today. Each of these sections ties into the bigger picture of how statistics helps us understand and interpret the world around us. Today, we'll start by exploring what statistics really is. We'll define the term statistics and understand its significance. Then, we'll look at how data can be classified into two main types, primary and secondary data. It's important to see how these types differ and why that matters in analyzing information. We'll also differentiate between the word statistic, which refers to a specific measure, and statistics, which is the broader field itself. Next, we'll learn how to represent data visually using different kinds of graphs, like bar graphs, histograms, and frequency polygons. These tools help us interpret data more clearly. We'll also organize data into frequency distributions, both ungrouped and grouped, to see patterns more easily. Finally, we'll discuss the measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode, and understand why these are crucial in summarizing data, especially when dealing with ungrouped data. Throughout this session, remember that these concepts form the foundation of understanding and interpreting data effectively. Let's take a moment to explore the origins of the term statistics. The word itself comes from the Latin word status or the Italian word statista, which both mean political state or government. Interestingly, Shakespeare even used the word statist in his famous play Hamlet back in 1602. Historically, statistics was primarily used by rulers and kings. Its application was quite limited, but it played a crucial role in governance. Rulers needed information about their lands, agriculture, commerce, and population to make informed decisions. This information helped them assess their military strength, economic wealth, taxation policies, and various other aspects of running a state. So, even in its early days, statistics was fundamentally about gathering data to better understand and manage a nation. This historical perspective reminds us that the roots of statistics are deeply tied to governance and statecraft, which connects to the broader theme of how data influences decision-making throughout history. Let's take a moment to explore the development of statistics. The term statistic was first used by Gottfried Eichnoll at a German university in 1749. Interestingly, it originally referred to the political arrangements of different countries. Then, in 1771, an Englishman named W. Hooper used the plural form, statistics, in his translation of a work called Elements of Universal Erudition by Baron B.F. Byford. In that context, he defined statistics as the science that teaches us about the political organization of all the modern states across the known world. It's important to note that there's quite a gap between what we now call modern statistics and the old forms of statistics. Despite these differences, old statistics are still part of the foundation of what we do today. They contribute to the evolution of the field and still hold some relevance in modern statistical analysis. So, understanding this history helps us appreciate how the discipline has grown and how it continues to be connected to its roots, shaping the way we analyze data and interpret information in the present. Let's explore how statistics play a crucial role in our daily lives. First, when it comes to customer data, effective collection and analysis of this information can really provide valuable insights for businesses. By understanding customer preferences, dislikes, and buying habits, companies can tailor their offerings and improve customer satisfaction. It's about turning data into actionable knowledge. Next, statistics aren't just about measuring how well a business is doing. They can actually help boost performance. By analyzing key metrics, companies can identify areas for improvement, optimize their strategies, and ultimately grow their success. So, throughout this presentation, we see how integrating statistical methods into everyday business practices isn't just helpful. It's essential for making smarter decisions and driving progress. Let's start by looking at education. As we can see, the amount of money spent on girls' education compared to boys' education is a critical issue. Often, girls receive less funding, which can impact their access to quality education and future opportunities. Addressing this gap is essential for promoting equality and empowering future generations. Moving on to health, over the last 10 years, we've seen a significant increase in the number of new diseases emerging. This highlights the ongoing challenges in global health and the importance of investing in research and prevention strategies. When we compare results over the past decade, we notice some improvements, but also areas where progress has been slow. It's a reminder that sustained effort is needed to make meaningful change. Finally, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a notable rise in the number of patients across different states. This surge strained healthcare systems everywhere and underscored the importance of preparedness and resilient health infrastructure. All these points tie back to the overall theme of our presentation: the need for equitable investment and robust health systems to ensure a healthier, more educated future for everyone. Now, moving on to the sports section. Here, we use sports as a useful analogy to compare the run rates of different teams. Think of it like tracking how fast different players score or move through a game. It's a great way to visualize performance over time. By examining these run rates, we can see which teams are accelerating, maintaining consistency, or perhaps struggling to keep up. This comparison helps us understand not just individual success, but overall team performance and strategies. It ties into our broader theme of analyzing data and trends, giving us a familiar context to grasp complex information more easily. So, in essence, sports provide a relatable and effective way to compare and interpret different teams' performances on the field. Let's talk about how we encounter data in our daily lives. Whenever we read newspapers, magazines, watch television, or use other forms of communication, we are constantly exposed to a wide range of information. This information can come in many forms: facts, figures, numerical tables, and various types of graphs. For example, you might see cricket batting or bowling averages, or perhaps financial data showing a company's profit or loss. It could also be polling results reflecting public opinion. All these pieces of information, whether they are numbers or other types of data, are collected for a specific purpose. We call this collection data. It's important to note that the word data is actually the plural form of the Latin word datum. So, whenever we gather facts and figures to analyze or make decisions, we're dealing with data. This concept of data is fundamental because it forms the basis for analysis, interpretation, and ultimately making informed choices in many fields. Throughout this presentation, we'll see how data helps us understand trends, patterns, and insights across different areas. Let's talk about what statistics really is. Essentially, statistics is a branch of mathematics, but what makes it unique is its focus on data. It involves collecting data, presenting it in a way that makes sense, analyzing it to uncover patterns, and interpreting what those patterns mean. Think of it as a set of powerful tools that help us extract meaningful information from the data we encounter every day. Whether we're looking at survey results, scientific experiments, or business reports, statistics helps us make sense of the numbers and turn them into insights. Throughout this presentation, you'll see how these tools are vital for understanding the world around us and making informed decisions. Now, let's talk about the different types of data collection. First, we have primary data. This is data that is collected specifically for a particular purpose or by a group of investigators directly involved in gathering the information. For example, imagine 5 students from a school measuring the height of 50 plants they planted last month. They are collecting primary data because they are gathering the information themselves, tailored to their specific project. On the other hand, we have secondary data. This type of data is already collected and stored by someone else, often from existing sources. For instance, think about the Census Department of the Government of India. They have stored a vast amount of information about the country's citizens, which researchers can use without having to go out and collect it all again. Both types of data are important, but they serve different purposes. Primary data gives us fresh, specific insights, while secondary data can save us time and effort by providing already available information. Understanding these differences helps us choose the right approach for our research or analysis, aligning with the overall goal of making informed decisions based on accurate data. Now, let's take a look at some graphical representations of data. These are powerful tools for visualizing the main features of a frequency distribution. First, we have bar graphs, which are great for comparing different categories or groups. They use rectangular bars to show the frequency or other measures, making it easy to see differences at a glance. Next are histograms, which are similar but typically used for continuous data. They group data into ranges or bins and display the frequency of data within each range, giving us a clear picture of the distribution shape. Lastly, we have frequency polygons, which are lines connecting midpoints of the tops of the bars in a histogram. They help us visualize the overall pattern and trends in the data over a range. These graphical tools make data much more understandable and accessible, especially when communicating results or identifying key features of the distribution. They really bring the numbers to life and help us see the story behind the data more easily. Now, let's talk about measures of central tendency. You might wonder, what exactly is central tendency? Well, it's a way to summarize a dataset with a single value that best represents the center of the data distribution. Essentially, it's about capturing the typical or average value in your dataset. This concept is really important because when you're dealing with large amounts of data, it helps you get a quick understanding without getting lost in all the individual data points. So, central tendency acts as a helpful summary that makes complex data more digestible and easier to interpret. As we continue, you'll see how this ties into the broader goal of making data meaningful and actionable. Now, let's look at measures of central tendency, which are key to understanding the typical or most representative values in a dataset. First up is the mean, or what we commonly call the average. This is calculated by adding up all the values and then dividing that sum by the total number of values. It gives us a good overall sense of the dataset's central point. Next is the median, which is simply the middle value when all the data points are arranged in order from smallest to largest. If there's an odd number of data points, it's the one right in the middle. If even, it's the average of the two middle values. This is especially useful when your data has outliers that might skew the mean. Finally, we have the mode, the value that appears most frequently in the dataset. It can tell us what the most common or typical value is, which is particularly useful in categorical data or when identifying popular choices. All of these measures help us summarize complex data into understandable, meaningful insights, an essential part of analyzing and interpreting data effectively. Now, let's talk about some classroom activities and wrap things up. First, we can measure everyone's foot sizes to find the average size. This hands-on activity helps us understand how data collection works in real life. After that, we'll discuss what these average sizes mean in practical scenarios, like choosing the right shoe size or designing comfortable footwear. These activities and discussions tie everything together by showing how understanding averages can be useful in everyday decisions. It's a fun way to see how math applies beyond the classroom and connects to real-world situations. So, here we are at the conclusion of our presentation. Understanding statistics is truly vital in today's data-driven world. It's not just about numbers, it's about making sense of information to guide our decisions. By grasping statistical concepts, we can interpret data more accurately and avoid being misled. This empowers us to make more informed choices, whether in business, healthcare, or everyday life. Ultimately, the ability to understand and analyze data helps us navigate a complex world with confidence. Remember, the key takeaway is that statistics are a powerful tool that can significantly impact how we understand and respond to the information around us.